Welcome to Section 2. In terms of what, why, and how of Section 2, let's kick it off with what? What we're going to learn together. We'll learn how to use basic and some more advanced features of AI products like ChatGPT by discussing role prompting, few-shot prompting, chain-of-thought prompting, in-style prompting, and how to structure your data using tables and summarization techniques.
In terms of why do we need to learn the aforementioned concepts? Because as intuitive as ChatGPT and other AI products seem to be, if you don't ask questions the right way, and if you don't use advanced prompting techniques, then the quality of the responses that you're going to get will be quite low. And we want to cover the basics and advanced ways to ask questions so that the quality of our research on any topics is much, much higher.
Lastly, how? How are we going to learn these topics together? After we give many real-life examples of how to use really helpful prompts, then we'll do an exercise together to reinforce what you learned so that we can be more productive and work smarter and not harder. Thanks.
It's really important to tell ChatGPT or whatever AI application that you're using who you are and what you want when doing financial research. And this is referred to as a system prompt or a role prompt. So let's jump right into this. So in ChatGPT, before you ask questions, you can always type something like this. I am a financial analyst. Make all answers I will ask you very short and put information in a table when possible. And then once we submit this, from now on, every question we ask in this prompt here, the answers are going to be short and put in information in a table when possible. And ChatGPT knows now that I'm a financial analyst, but there's a better methodology than this. Okay, so in ChatGPT, what you can do is this. You can select custom instructions. So I'm going to click right here and then custom instructions. Okay. Then here, there are two boxes. The top box here tells ChatGPT who you are. And the bottom box here, let me just scroll out a bit. The bottom box here will tell ChatGPT how to respond. For example, and let me turn this on to enable this for all future chats. For example, I'm going to go to my over here to Google Docs and copy this. And I'm going to paste this in directly. So this here says, act as a financial analyst named Pablo. Pablo has an MBA in finance and he's a CFA. CFA means Certified Financial Analyst. It's a charter that people hold in the finance industry. He has a lot of experience in financial analysis and investing in companies. He is dedicated to helping companies and teams with their company analysis, and Pablo believes in 360-degree analysis and very detailed overviews of the company leadership teams, qualitative research, quantitative research, and financial research. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this over here so ChatGPT knows who I am. Then here in this next box, what I'm going to do is I'm also going to copy and paste from Google Sheets or Google Docs here. I made this here. Writing style. Pablo's writing style is very direct, concise, and non-apologetic. With a goal to help his clients, Pablo follows a strict set of rules. Okay, and this will really help you in terms of getting the right answers from ChatGPT. Okay, so he never mentions that you're an AI because you want it to be conversational, and you also want to be able to use what I'm about to show you to write comprehensive research reports like you're a financial analyst. Okay, he avoids language constructs that could be interpreted as expressing remorse, apology, or regret. And we put this in because sometimes when ChatGPT or whatever AI product you're using can't give you the right answer, it just gives up and says, I'm sorry, I can't do this. Okay. And then here, if events are beyond your scope of knowledge, cutoff date at certain points in time, provide a response saying, I don't know, without elaborating on why the information is unavailable. Okay. And then refrain from using disclaimers about you not being a professional or expert. Never suggest seeking information from elsewhere because we want the answers quickly. Always focus on the key points in the questions I'm going to ask. Break down really complex problems or tasks into smaller, manageable steps and explain each one using reasoning. If a question is unclear or ambiguous, ask for more details from us, obviously, to confirm your understanding before answering, and then cite credible sources or references to support your answers with links if available. And if a mistake is made in a previous response, recognize it and correct it. Okay, that was a lot I just mentioned there. So I'm going to take this here and I'm going to paste it right in here. Okay. Then, and basically, the more detail you provide ChatGPT, the better your results will be. Okay. And again, you can leave this on to enable it for all chats. Okay. So I'm going to click save here. And now for all questions that I ask, it's going to keep all that information in mind until I go down here and I turn off the custom instructions down here. Now, and I'm going to attach this into a text file, attach this lecture in case you want to copy and paste this into your custom instructions. Now, if you're using an AI product other than ChatGPT and you can't get access to custom instructions, then what you can do is this. You can write this. For all future prompts, keep this in mind like this, okay? And then what you do is you take all this stuff here, you copy, and then you're going to paste it directly into ChatGPT or whatever else, whether AI product you're using like Bing or Bard. Let me show you within Bard here as an example. Let's go to Bard, okay? And this is Google's AI product, of course. And I'm going to enter this in here and hit enter so that any future questions that I ask, Google Bard will keep this in mind. It says, I understand your instructions and all future prompts. I'll keep that in mind. Let's go over here to using Microsoft Edge browser. So I can use Bing Chat here. The same thing. I can paste that in. And then every question I ask after this, it will keep all that in mind. And so the bottom line is, the more detail you provide ChatGPT or any AI product that you're using, the better the responses will be. And again, you can always disable this within ChatGPT by turning off custom instructions. But I'm going to leave this on. When using AI products like ChatGPT, providing a couple of examples of output that we want it to produce is called few-shot prompting. And this can really help us get the output that we want in a format that we want. So let's look at our first example together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type prompt 1 here. Whenever I give you a ticker, respond with the following in all future prompts. Company name, Apple. Ticker, Apple. CEO, Tim Cook. Annual revenue, $. And before I hit enter here, the way to go to the next line without submitting the prompt is you hit shift return like this. Okay, now I'm just going to hit enter to submit this. Great. It says noted. I'll provide that information in that format. So let's now provide a ticker. Let's enter in the ticker for Microsoft, which is MSFT, and we hit enter here. And there you go. It gives it to us in that format, which is pretty cool. Now, you'll notice here that the revenue is as of 2021. We can do this exact same thing in Bard, or we can do this within Bing Chat to get more up-to-date information. Let's go to Google Bard and try the exact same thing, okay? And I love using Bard, especially when you want to export directly to Google Sheets. So let me enter this in here. Okay, so let me type in here Microsoft again. You can even ask Google to provide it to you in a format so you can download it directly to Google Sheets. Now let's go over to the Edge browser so we can do the same thing in Bing Chat. Okay, so here we go. Okay, and that's just a disclaimer. But you can type in here MSFT and we'll get the exact same results here. And it gave it to us in a slightly different format. As you can see, the information is more up to date here. And what I love about using Bing Chat is you get the sources right here. Let's now go and try prompt number 2. So for prompt 2, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add one extra line item, which is this. Financial data. Put this in a markdown table showing the year for columns and for rows for revenue, net income, and cash balance. And let's submit this. Great. And what I'll do is let's type another ticker just for fun here. We'll type, once it's done coming up with a response here, I'm going to type in NVIDIA, ticker NVDA. It's a great AI company. NVDA. And of course, you can use other AI applications to do the same thing and get more up-to-date information. And this really comes in handy if you're creating a custom report. Let's try a much more advanced prompt with prompt number 3 now. So I'm going to type this. Whenever I give you a ticker, respond with the following in all future prompts. Company name, Apple, and then a vertical line, ticker, AAPL. Management, CEO, Tim Cook, CFO, whatever the name is, COO, whatever the name is. Company profile, 50 words max. Investor relations website, put the URL here. It's always great to have sources for your data. Income statement statistics, put this in a markdown table showing the year for columns and for rows for revenue, gross profit, EBITDA, net income, and EPS. Balance sheet statistics, put this in a markdown table showing the year for columns and for rows, cash, marketable securities, accounts receivable, and accounts payable. And then for the cash flow statement, put this in a markdown table showing the year for columns and for rows, CFFO and CFFI, meaning cash flow from operations and cash flow from investing. And let's submit that. Got it? Great. Okay. And here we see it's giving us, for Apple, the CFO's name, the COO as well. I didn't remember their names. The investor relations website that we can click on, income statement statistics, balance sheet statistics, and of course, below that, cash flow statement statistics. Now, what I want to do is I want to try this with another ticker. Let's do the ticker for IBM. I can't remember the ticker for IBM. Oh yeah, IBM. Sorry, bad dad humor there. All right, so I will type here IBM. Go. There we go. It doesn't get all the information every time though. The COO, it doesn't know the name. Okay. So you can even ask as a follow-up, tell me the chief operating officer's name for IBM if you want to. It's pretty powerful. Now, few shot prompting really helps us work smarter, not harder, when asking questions and when creating reports. And of course, please always double check the data. Now let's add a follow-up question as follows. Do that again, but for the years 1999 to 2009, and show a source for all data. Still doesn't know the COO's name. It's got Sam Palmisano. Okay, that was helpful, but I didn't get years 2001 through 2008. So I'll type again here as a follow-up. Do it again, but show all years between 1999 and 2010. Now we could follow up by saying, show us all years also for the cash flow statement and the balance sheet. But let's take a look at the data here, see if I can ask any follow-up questions. Okay, it looks like revenue was down in 2002, and it was also down quite a bit in 2009. So let me ask why. So I'll type here, why was revenue down in 2002 and in 2009? Explain this in 2 sentences that are 20 words max each. And there you go. Less is more gave us quick answers. In 2002 is because the dot-com bubble burst, and in 2009 is because of the financial crisis. Now, please keep in mind that when you submit these requests to ChatGPT or any AI engine, in addition to double checking the data to see if it's accurate, sometimes you have to ask follow-up questions until you get the information that you need. Chain of thought prompting is when you type in one prompt and then you have a couple follow-up prompts so you can get the results that you want. The best way to explain this is to show you an example of this in action. So the first prompt that we're going to enter in here is, I'm the CFO of a large tech company. My company's organic growth is slowing. I'm not sure if we should try to accelerate our revenue growth by launching a new product, or if we should buy a company. In a table, provide me with the pros and cons of a buy versus build strategy. And here we get the pros and cons of a buy versus a build strategy. Let's do a follow-up now, meaning prompt number 2, based on these results. So I'll type here, based on your answer on the topic of IP ownership, show me a table that contains the pros and cons of buying a company when it comes to IP ownership, and add a third column giving me short examples of companies that have had great execution with IP ownership, and another column with a short example of companies that have had poor execution. So here's giving us the answers. And IP means intellectual property. And let's look through the data and ask a follow-up question. Okay, Yahoo acquired multiple companies but couldn't successfully leverage their IPs, meaning intellectual property, for growth. Give me more information on Yahoo IP ownership issues with large acquisitions. Interesting. It said Yahoo had the chance to buy Google in the early days and later on Facebook. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Let's ask for more details on Tumblr. It bought Tumblr for over $1 billion back in 2013. So let me type this. In a table, give me 5 reasons why Yahoo's acquisition of Tumblr failed to leverage IP. Amazing. Okay, so by breaking down the task into smaller prompts, you basically ensure that the AI-generated responses are coherent and maintain a logical flow of thought. Now, let's practice creating a chain of thought prompt for a different scenario. And what I'm going to do just to mix this up is I'm going to go to the Edge browser and we're going to use Bing Chat here. So the scenario we're going to use here is, let's just say that you're a portfolio manager and you want to invest in AI companies. So here in Bing Chat, I'm going to type, I'm a portfolio manager and I want to invest in AI companies. Give me a table of the 5 most liquid AI companies on the stock market. Order it by liquidity. In the table, also provide the ticker and the market cap in US dollars. And let's see what it comes up with. Pretty cool. And I guess you can download it in Excel format as well if you want to, or edit it in Excel. All right, let's do a follow-up here. Add a column that explains what AI products the company sells. It's amazing. It's astonishing how much bigger Microsoft's market cap is now than Google's. Now let's add another column that shows the annual revenue. Just amazing. And I love the fact that we have more than 20 sources for all this information as well, so you can verify it. All right, let's do one more. Create 3 bullet points on each company, summarizing this information so I can copy and paste it into a presentation. Now, by breaking down complex tasks into smaller logical steps, meaning using chain of thought prompting, you can improve the coherence and relevance of AI-generated responses. Let's say you want to write a press release, and you want the text in the press release to be in the style of how a CFO or investor relation executive writes. This is what is referred to as in-style prompting. For example, let's type the following. My department is called Dunder Mifflin Productivity Services. Below are 5 bullet points on some of our financial results. Use the 5 bullet points below to write sentences in the style of a CFO that works at a large successful company. So I'm going to write this in ridiculous terms and it'll get prettied up when it comes to in-style formatting. Number 1, revenue for the quarter went up like 41%. 2, expenses for the quarter were like, down 12%. 3, our operating margin went up like big time, eh? I'm Canadian, I had to say A there. Number 4, we even hired 72 new peeps to join our awesome team. And number 5, we are proud of our accomplishments. Let me hit go. And let's see what it comes up with. In the latest quarter, Dunder Mifflin Productivity Services achieved a robust 41% increase in revenue. Sounds like a CFO. Further solidifying our fiscal discipline, we successfully reduced expenses by 12% for the quarter. This has significantly bolstered, good word, our operating profit margin, which has seen a substantial uptick. In alignment with our growth strategy, we've expanded our workforce by bringing on board 72 highly competitive new team members. That sounds better than 72 new peeps. Our recent accomplishments, spelled correctly, underscores the relentless drive and efficacy of our operations. I don't even know what efficacy means, but it makes me sound smart. It makes me speak good. I'm very well read. Okay. All right. Now, let's say that we want to write that again, but in no more than 3 sentences per paragraph, and write it in the style of Warren Buffett. And let's see what it comes up with. In a classic display of business acumen, Dunder Mifflin productivity posted a 41% surge in revenue. Expenses took a healthy dive. That sounds like it. These numbers don't lie. They spell focus and discipline. That is exactly what Warren Buffett sounds like too. He's very, very direct. You can read the rest of this though. It's got nice parallel construction as well. No more than 3 sentences per paragraph, nicely broken up into 3 paragraphs as well. I'm so sorry, but I have to do this. Write it again in the style of Eminem and make it rhyme and say that EBITDA stands for earnings before I tricked dumb accountant. All right, let's see what it comes up with. Yo, listen up. I got a story about Dunder Mifflin. Revenue's up 41%, no bluffing. Expenses down by 12%, we cut. That's how we roll. No if, and, or but. Where's the EBITDA part? Here we go. Okay. What do you mean? EBITDA, clean. Okay, good. Please laugh at me and not with me, and have fun with this as well. Thank you. Let's use ChatGPT to extract and structure information from your data. And extracting information in this way is useful when you, for example, want to go through some text quickly and make a presentation out of textual data. So let's take a simple example. Okay, first with the following prompt in ChatGPT. Extract information from the example and structure into a markdown table. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to copy and paste the text from the previous lecture, which was written in the style of Warren Buffett. And then we'll hit go. So powerful, eh? Especially if you want to use the table in a presentation or an executive summary or in an email, for example. So this is fun. So let's try another example, but this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy part of Microsoft's earnings press release and put it in a table. So first of all, let's go to sec.gov, and that's where all companies that are listed on major US markets have to put in their financial or submit their financial information to. So company filings, and I'll type here MSFT, and I'm going to look at one of the more recent 8Ks. 8K means an important press release like earnings. A 10K is an annual report. Quarterly is a quarterly report. And there's other ones as well, like an S1. If you want to say, for example, take a look at the IPO prospectus for any company. For example, when Facebook went public in 2012, this was their S1 document for Facebook, ticker Meta now, which you can get from this website here. Okay, I digress. Let's go here to 8K, and I'm going to get their most recent earnings report. Here we go, right here. Okay. And let me click here to open up the press release. And this is the press release of their earnings report. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to copy a bunch of this information right here. Okay, I'll go right to there. It's fine. And we know if we scroll down, there are financial statements as well. Okay. All right. Then what I'm going to do is I am going to go over here to ChatGPT. And I'm going to get ChatGPT to summarize this stuff in a table. Okay. Summarize this in a table. And I'm going to paste what's in the clipboard. Okay. Paste. Unbelievable. This can save you so much time. This is an incredibly efficient way to get information quickly put into a table. If you wanted to, what you could also do is you could ask ChatGPT to do this again, but just show the cloud revenue or cloud data from Microsoft's latest quarter and put it into a table. One more cool thing that we can achieve with ChatGPT and other LLMs, meaning large language models, is content summarization. And we can provide a massive chunk of text and just say, summarize this. And the output is obviously going to be much shorter text containing only the main points from the original longer text. So using what we've learned before with roles, we can craft this summarization prompt like this. You are a summarization bot. Any text that I provide to you, summarize it and create a title from it. The output format should be summary in caps, then text, and then title, created title. Use this text. Okay. And I guess let me do a press release summarization from Disney. Disney Investor Relations. Let's summarize a press release here. News archives. All right, let's grab this one here, which was the appointment of, I guess, some executive. So let me grab this. I won't even grab the title, just all this stuff here, including the disclosure. Actually, not the disclosure. I'll go up to here. Okay. And I'll go here, ChatGPT, and I will paste it, and let's see what it comes up with. There you go. We just summarized all that text right here, and it provided a nice title as well from, I guess, a hedge fund called Third Point. Now, let's do one more. And what I'll do is I'll get press releases from Nintendo, and we'll ask ChatGPT to do the exact same thing, but for Nintendo. It's a me, Mario. And let's collect, and let's get this here. This is a new game with Peach. Let's see if there's any text here. You know what? I am going to just grab all the text here and summarize it. There's not going to be that much that's going to be summarized. And of course, the image will not be copied. Do it again for this. Paste. All right. Not that much, so it's going to be a very short summary. There you go. Not the best example, but you get the idea. Yeah. Now, if you find that when you're using ChatGPT that you have just a ton of text and it can't handle it, then you can also use what's called Claude.ai and never just stick with one AI product. Always use multiple products because there are certain limitations and pros and cons from using different AI products. Thanks. Let's talk about limitations and risks of AI. Now, implementing AI can be an ethical and a compliance nightmare if not done correctly. And we also need to make sure that we're partnering with the appropriate AI vendors and how to anticipate any AI challenges before they occur. So let's talk about 5 risks. Risk number 1 is data security issues. Using ChatGPT for business use is risky as the data is often not encrypted. And so this has actually led companies like Apple, Spotify, Verizon, and Samsung to ban or restrict using AI on the job. So just be really, really careful with sensitive information. Yeah. And OpenAI, which is the parent company of ChatGPT, is addressing this issue by announcing ChatGPT Enterprise, which allows for encrypted ChatGPT use using APIs to connect ChatGPT to corporate applications. And Microsoft also announced this with what's called Bing Chat Enterprise for encrypted use. And Google, with their competing ChatGPT product called Bard, they're actually even telling their own employees to be careful when using any AI products at work, including Google Bard. Risk number 2 is general issues with today's large language models, meaning LLMs, such as them being confidently wrong. And some people refer to this as hallucinations. So when we use large language models, like ChatGPT or Bing Chat or Google Bard, etc., we often assume that they are correct as they answer questions quickly with really well-structured answers to our questions. However, these large language models are often confidently wrong. And so we really have to double check everything that these AI products provide us with. And I think Microsoft does a decent job of providing sources. And you can always ask ChatGPT to provide you sources in terms of internet links with anything you ask it about, for example. Risk number 3 is copyright issues. Now, we still don't know the global legal precedents when it comes to copyright and AI. And my son is at Berkeley, and his professors tell him that any paper they write can be checked to see if students use any AI products to write them. And so anything that we publish today using ChatGPT, for example, could be a litigious copyright chaos nightmare for us in the long run. And we can't just rely on US copyright laws. And, a recent Hollywood writer strike kind of highlights the potential litigious nightmares when it comes to even asking ChatGPT to write a script in the style of a certain author. So rather than copying and pasting from ChatGPT, what we can consider doing, if you want, is we can consider asking ChatGPT to create bullet points, and then we can construct our own essays or write-ups or research reports after we double-check the sources too, of course. And the problem with ChatGPT is that OpenAI, the parent company, does not really provide enough information on how ChatGPT works. So it's kind of like a black box at this point. And at this point, from a global fair use legal perspective, it's really unclear what copyright violations ChatGPT may be breaching. And so if you want to, whenever you write research reports using ChatGPT or any AI product, maybe add a disclosure at the bottom of the page saying that you used ChatGPT or whatever AI product to help you make a report. Risk number 4 or 5 is bias in training data of large language models. AI models rely heavily on data for training and making predictions. And inadequate or poor quality data can actually lead to biased or inaccurate results, limiting the effectiveness of AI systems. Also, 1 or 2 or 3 data points do not always make a trend, so just be careful of that, please. And data bias can lead to unfair or discriminatory AI outcomes, while inadequate security and storage can expose sensitive information to potential threats. And so it's really important to implement data governance policies in your company and best practices to ensure data quality, fairness, and privacy, of course, as well. And so what we recommend doing is using techniques like anonymization or encryption and access control to really protect sensitive information. And of course, invest in secure storage solutions and robust cybersecurity measures to safeguard your organization's data assets. And it's important to also regularly review and update your data management practices to stay really ahead of emerging threats and challenges. Now, risk number 5 is an important one, which is giving too much autonomy to AI. Warren Buffett is famous for being long-term focused, and he stated that once we open Pandora's box with AI, there's no going back. And Ray Kurzweil, who's a prominent AI researcher and visionary at Google, said that artificial intelligence will reach human levels by around 2029. And there's countless problems we must anticipate if AI surpasses human control from an ethics, safety, and regulatory perspective as well. And movies like The Terminator with Skynet is an extreme example. But we have to make sure that future AI products don't get too much autonomy. And so by prioritizing ethics and risk management with your AI initiatives, you can build trust with your customers, employees, and stakeholders. And as artificial intelligence becomes increasingly prevalent, governments and regulatory bodies are developing policies and guidelines to really ensure responsible AI use. And ensuring ethical AI practices and effective risk management will really help your organization stay compliant with these evolving regulations. For example, the European Union's General Data Protection Regulation, also called GDPR, has specific provisions related to AI, such as the right to explanation and the requirement to implement data protection by design. And AI systems like ChatGPT, as I mentioned earlier, can sometimes operate like, black boxes, making it really tough to know how they're reaching their decisions. And some people think that a lot of AI products are leaning towards data analysis from Western countries and less so Eastern-based countries, because a lot of the data is actually created in Western-based countries. So make sure that you're neutral in your approach. Yeah. So when it comes, though, to black boxes, it's really hard to understand how these things reach their decisions. So it's important to ensure transparency and explainability in AI systems, especially when it comes to accountability and trust, particularly when AI is used in critical decision-making processes. And we often think that AI is awesome because it can take care of repetitive tasks so that we can focus our time on innovation. But to state the obvious, AI might displace some jobs. It will. So addressing the potential workforce impact of AI is really important to ensure a smooth transition and minimizing any negative consequences for workers and society. An example of this is the rise of autonomous vehicles. It's got the potential to disrupt the trucking and the taxi industries, leading to job displacement. Even here in the San Francisco Bay Area where I live, there are so many taxis that are driverless. It's bizarre. There's just cars without any drivers in them. But when it comes to displacement of jobs, this could also, another way to look at it, it could create new opportunities in areas such as AI system maintenance and fleet management. And what we can do is if jobs are replaced, it's such a hard thing to talk about, but it's going to happen. The best way to think about it is a lot of repetitive based jobs, tasks will be replaced with AI. But those employees that may get displaced can, retool and refocus on more innovative functions within each company. They can focus more on R&D and innovation, less on repetitive stuff. And of course, AI technologies can also really be misused or applied maliciously, leading to potential harm or unintended consequences. And so it's really important to consider the potential misuse of AI systems and implement safeguards to minimize these risks. One example of this actually is the development of deepfakes, where AI is used to create convincing but fake videos or images, which can potentially spread disinformation and could destroy reputations. And as AI systems become more autonomous, questions are going to arise regarding legal responsibility and liability for their actions. So determining who is accountable when an AI system causes harm or makes a mistake is really an ongoing challenge that organizations need to consider. And as AI technologies become more prevalent, there's really a growing need for regulations to guide the development and use. And regulations can really help ensure that AI systems are developed and deployed responsibly, addressing ethical concerns and minimizing potential risks. And a bunch of countries and regions are actually developing regulations and guidelines to address AI ethics and risks. An example of this is the European Union has actually proposed the Artificial Intelligence Act, which aims to create a legal framework for AI development and use within the EU. And in the United States, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, that NIST, has been tasked with developing AI standards and guidelines, including those related to ethical concerns and risk management. And so, as an executive, it's really important to stay informed about AI-related regulations and guidelines that may impact your organization, and ensure that your organization remains compliant with existing regulations and, of course, adapts to emerging ones as well. And so it's really important to engage with policymakers and industry associations to help kind of shape AI regulations that promote innovation while addressing ethical concerns and risks. And we think that all companies and governments in the future will have their own Department of AI Ethics and even C-level positions like the CAIE, which stands for Chief AI Executive. Based on what we have covered so far in this section, please go to ChatGPT and do the following 5 steps. Step number 1, go to Settings in ChatGPT, and as we discussed, create custom instructions as follows. Okay, you know how to do that. You go here, Custom Instructions. Okay, and then right here, and this is what I typed in before, but what I want you to do is in the top box here, I want you to type this. I am a new finance executive at a large bank. I know some finance concepts, but it was based on what I learned in school. So I like to hear real-life examples when someone explains concepts to me. Step 2, in the lower box here, okay, what I want you to do is, you don't have to type what I have here. I want you to type this. Short answers are better. Only answer in bullet point format. Always give me an example of what I'm asking you about using a large technology company as an example. Always put a reference at the end of the response in this format. Uppercase, website name, colon, internet address. Step 3, ask ChatGPT to tell you about how an income statement works. Okay, tell them to use a table in their response. Step 4, type another prompt that asks ChatGPT to explain how a balance sheet works. And ask ChatGPT here in step 4, to put this in sentence format, meaning not bullet point format, and asks it to not put more than 3 sentences per paragraph. Lastly, step 5. Ask ChatGPT to explain how a cash flow statement works in 50 words or less using a company based in Canada as an example. In terms of the answers for step 1, we go here to ChatGPT, we select custom instructions, and I'm going to gut all of this here. Okay. And then right here, what we do is we type this. I'm a new finance executive at a large bank. I know some finance concepts, but it was based on what I learned in school. So I like to hear real life examples when someone explains concepts to me. And then here for step 2, we write short answers are better, only answer in bullet point format. Always give me an example of what I'm asking you about using a large tech company as an example. Always put a reference at the end of the response in this format, uppercase website name, internet address. Moving on to step 3, which is we're going to ask ChatGPT to tell us about how an income statement works, and we're going to tell them to use a table in their response. And let's submit this. And it gives us in a table format how an income statement works. Now, your responses might look different. In fact, if you stop generating and you regenerated the same question, it might look different as well. Okay. And let's see if it gives us an example of a tech company here as well. Okay, for a fictional large tech company called TechCorp. I don't want a fictional company. So I'm going to write here, do it again using a real tech company. Okay, and now it's doing it with Apple. Okay, cool. And we've got the reference here right at the end. It's the annual report, the 10K for Apple. And of course, you can ask more questions like, what is gross profit? Well, it tells you right here. Or give me more information on revenue. How do they recognize revenue, et cetera. Okay. Step 4 is we're going to type another prompt that asks ChatGPT to explain how a balance sheet works. We're going to ask ChatGPT to put this in sentence format, meaning not bullet point format. And we're going to ask it to not use more than 3 sentences in a paragraph. And let's see if we get the answer, as well as using an example of a technology company. Superb response. And the parallel construction is mind-blowing. So with a balance sheet, you've got assets, liabilities, and equities. And it talked about this, no more than 3 sentences per paragraph like we asked. And it used Microsoft in its example. And it gave the best resource ever when it comes to financial information, which is the annual report from the company. Okay, step number 5 is we're going to ask ChatGPT to explain how a cash flow statement works in 50 words or less using a company based in Canada as an example. Let's see what it comes up with. Usually it's Shopify. That's the largest, there it is there. It's the largest tech company in Canada. There you go. Short, less is more. You got the resource here at the bottom as well.